Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be pushing back against the narrative that these Polymer 80s or so-called ghost guns are being widely used in crimes. Okay, first of all, um, very few guns in general are used in crimes. Okay, most crimes are committed with just hands. Okay, or other objects like knives or clubs. Okay, or teeth. All right, biting. Okay, so very few crimes are actually committed with guns, and within that, an even tinier percentage is used with is done rather with these ghost guns or these Polymer 80s. There's a couple of other companies out there besides Polymer 80, but we're talking about a tiny percentage. Okay, now let's consider why. Why are these guns not often used in crimes? And the fact is that if you look at a factory gun like this one over here, it's a lot cheaper. Okay, these guns here are about $1,000 each with the optic. This one over here is $300, and this is going to shoot right out of the box. Okay, this is expected to be reliable right out of the box. These Polymer 80s, there's usually a very long debugging process. Okay, after I build the gun, I gotta test fire it, work on it some more, test fire it, work on it some more. Even after you get to the point where the gun is working, there's a 200 round break-in period. Polymer 80 will tell you, it's right on their website. It takes about 200 rounds for all the parts to, start working together very well. The reason is because the parts in this gun over here all came from one source. Okay, they came from basically one factory. Whereas the parts in this gun, well, the slide came from one company, the barrel came from another company, the frame came from another company, the parts inside the frame came from a different company, parts inside the slide came from a different company. So they're all, basically all these parts. There's what we call the specifications, right? But within those specifications of how they're supposed to be built, there's an allowance for some variance. So it can be at this end or this end. So if you've got parts, one part that's like at this far end of the variance and the next part is from that far end of the variance, it's going to take a lot more effort to get the gun to work. Okay? And there's a lot of experience. The first Polymer 80 that I built, it probably took about 2 months before that gun was working reliable, simply because I didn't know. I mean, I was just going through this learning process of trying to figure out how to get it to work. Yeah, now after having built so many guns, I can build the guns a lot faster, reliably. I know how to troubleshoot them, how to get them to work reliably, but there's a process involved. Okay, so let's talk about unreliable guns, because the comment has been put out there that, hey, it doesn't matter if the guns are very reliable. All it has to do is basically look like a gun, maybe fire 1 or 2 shots before it jams. Well, here's the thing: if you're going to be talking about unreliable guns or guns, or basically just the fact that this looks like a gun, maybe that will accomplish the goal. Well, how about a rubber gun, right? Or how about just using your finger, right? You stick this into somebody's back and you tell them you got a gun. I mean, that kind of accomplishes the same thing. Okay, so that's the thing with unreliable guns. If you don't know what type of a situation is going to come up. And why spend all this money on a gun that you got to break in when you can basically get one of these guns a lot cheaper through a straw purchase, okay? Because that's usually the method that most criminals use to go about buying a gun. They're going to use somebody else to buy a gun for them, or they're going to basically steal the gun, okay? And, basically guns have been even stolen from secured police facilities, okay? So, weird stuff like that happens, okay? So, their stolen guns are out there. That's usually an easier source, okay? So going right down this list, inflating the numbers, right? Let's talk about how they inflate the numbers with regards to these ghost guns. Because here's the thing, they're pushing this narrative, right? They're trying to, two reasons why they're pushing this narrative so hard. Number one, this is basically, trying to ban these Polymer 80s is what they consider a low-hanging fruit, okay? They know that they have lost the war pretty much against banning factory guns. The reason why we have been so successful is because we've been able to expand the gun culture to include lots of women, black people, Hispanic people, Asian people, Indians, you name it. We are we have been working really hard over the last 12 years that I've been involved in gun training to try and expand the gun culture, and we have been very successful, okay? And it's not just the professional trainers that do this, it's also you guys out there. You know, the best thing that you can do to protect your gun rights is take somebody that's never shot a gun before, bring them to the gun range with you, you know, start them off on a small caliber, get them into the gun culture, okay? So let's talk about how they inflate the numbers, okay? Well, first of all, in a lot of these cities, simply possessing one of these guns is a crime, okay? So they stop somebody, right, with these stop and frisk policies. They stop somebody, right? They take this gun off of them, and now, voila, they've got themselves a gun crime that was committed with one of these Polymer 80s. So that's a way that they inflate the numbers, okay? Another way that they're going to inflate the numbers is a recent case in California. I think it was Los Angeles. They raided some warehouse that was selling the Polymer 80 frames. Now, mind you, a Polymer 80, before it's completed, is not a gun, okay? It's a piece of plastic. But you better believe that in California, they seized all these Polymer 80 frames, and now they're going to, I don't know how many they took, maybe it was 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, I don't know how many frames they took, but now they're going to add those frames to the number of Polymer 80 gun crimes, okay? So they're going to inflate those numbers, okay? So they use all these different tricks to try and inflate the number. The other thing is, another case comes to mind. Earlier in the year, it was in the news. They seized, you know, there was some type of a drug bust. They seized a whole bunch of drugs. There was a whole bunch of guns, right? And out of all the guns, I think there was like 1 or 2 of these Polymer 80s. So that the headlines read, you know, Polymer 80 guns found at or discovered during the gun bust. Never mind the fact that there was like only 2 of these compared to the 10 other or 12 other, whatever it was, 10 other factory guns, okay? They gave these guns all the attention. These guns got the highlight. Now, the other thing that's important to realize with these Polymer 80s, they make a big deal out of the fact that it's not a serialized frame. Keep in mind that very few gun traces, right, where they're tracing the serial numbers, actually produce anything, okay? Because when they do a gun trace on a gun that has a serial number on it, like this one over here, they go to the manufacturer. We don't have a registry in the United States, thankfully, so they go to the manufacturer. Then they basically, that manufacturer tells them which gun shop or FFL it was shipped to, and then they go there, and then that FFL might give a name. Then they go to that person. That person might say, hey, they sold it through another FFL. You know, they basically sold it to another gun shop. Now they gotta go. So there's this long process. Last I heard, 50% of gun traces basically turn into a dead end. Okay, they don't yield anything. And furthermore, you cannot actually use forensics to convict anybody. Okay, they usually use forensics during the interrogation process to try and scare people, try to get a confession out of them. But you really cannot convict anybody on forensics alone. They could be part of the supporting evidence, but it by itself is usually not going to be enough. Okay, so there's way too much attention that's put on these serial numbers. And furthermore, if somebody had the intention of doing a straw purchase, right, buying a gun for the purpose of selling it to somebody else who shouldn't have a gun, all they gotta do is take a Dremel and basically Dremel off the serial number, and now this is a ghost gun. Okay, so you can turn any factory gun into a ghost gun by Dremeling off the serial numbers. People that don't know anything about guns say, oh, there's multiple places on the firearm that might have the serial number, the parts have the serial number. That's not the case. I take these guns apart. The serial number is something that's big and easily to see. It's usually just on the frame. And basically, if you Dremel in deep enough into the serial number, it's unrecoverable. And realistically, they're not going to put too much effort in trying to recover a serial number that's usually, even if they did have, would probably lead to a dead end anyway. Okay, so any gun can become a ghost gun just by taking off the serial number. I've heard the case that, hey, if you take off the serial number, it increase. Basically that's a bigger crime now. Well, you're talking about people that are going to commit a crime anyway, right? Selling the drugs or whatever they're doing, or committing a murder, that's a far bigger crime than taking off the serial number. So if they're planning to do something like that, it's really not a big deal to take off the serial number to those people. Okay, so that's not going to scare them. Somebody that's about to sell it, they're probably going to do that, like whatever, just like an hour or so before they actually make that transaction. So that's just a stupid point about serial numbers. It usually leads to a dead end anyway. So why are they going after these Polymer 80s? In my opinion, they're trying to keep that anti-gun money flowing in, right? Because you got this idiot out there, Bloomberg, right? That's giving the anti-gun groups money. They're basically, they realize at this point that they have lost the war against trying to ban factory guns, right? That's pistols, rifles, shotguns, AR-15s. They're not going anywhere with that. They've lost that war. The reason why they've lost that war is because we have been so effective in expanding the gun culture to include women, to including blacks, Hispanics, Chinese, Asians, Indians, all of them, right? So by us basically bringing more Democrats into the gun culture, right? It's now really hard for them to try and ban the factory guns because now they're going after their own. They would be hurting their own constituents, the people that vote for them. Okay, so they can't go after the factory guns. So going after the Polymer 80s seems like a low-hanging fruit to them, and they want to keep that Bloomberg money coming in. So that's why they're trying to go after these Polymer 80s. The way we win this is the same way that we won this war, right? We've got to get more women, blacks, Hispanics, Asians, whatever, people that live in the North and South Pole, wherever they are in the world. We gotta get them all into building these Polymer 80s. The more people that we can build, that we can bring into the gun building culture, the harder it will be for them to ban. Ideally, we want to get these Polymer 80s to the point where they can fall under that commonly owned firearms clause of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said that commonly owned firearms cannot be banned, so we need to they're probably already at that level, all right, but we need to push that bar even higher so that it is even less questionable. So that's how we win this war and protect the Polymer 80s and protect our rights to keep building these Polymer 80s. Try and get as many people as you can, and obviously you're not going to be able to get in most cases, you're not going to be able to get somebody who's never shot a gun before interested in building a gun, right? First you got to get them to the point where they're simply buying and shooting factory guns. But if you've got friends, right, that own guns, that enjoy shooting guns, what you need to do is, bring one of your Polymer 80s to the range, have them shoot it, show them how cool it is, and get them to start building Polymer 80s. That's how we win this war, where they're trying to ban the Polymer 80s. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Spread it around, try to get this information out there. If you're not a member of my channel, subscribe, hit that bell button, drop some comments below, because by you guys dropping comments, it pushes the algorithms and more people get to see this video and get the message. The important message in all this is get more people building Polymer 80s. Target those, reach out to those people that you got that that are already gun owners. Invite them to the range with you. Have them try your Polymer 80 out and try to get them interested in building them. So thanks a lot for watching. I'll talk to you guys soon.